the epic and slightly chaotic origin of history's craziest clan. In a kingdom not so far away, where the ground trembles with the sound of war drums and the air is perfumed with gunpowder, dust, and a faint scent of charred bacon, there exists a legendary land called Clisheria. A place where arrows slice through the sky like impatient comets. Walls rise from the ground with the speed of small-town gossip, and elixir, oh, the elixir, is fought over with more greed than gold in times of crisis. It was in this chaotic and glorious setting that a story was born. But not one of those campfire tales with predictable endings. No, we're talking about an absurd, hilarious, and incredibly heroic saga. The journey of a group of completely different warriors, strategically disastrous, emotionally unstable, but with a heart and a hammer the size of a golem. Today, you'll learn about the beginning of it all, the unlikely origin of what would become the most powerful, loudest, most explosive, and also the most disorganized clan in the history of Clisheria. Ladies and gentlemen, ready your shields and hold your pigs, because now begins the origin of the Flaming Pig Clan. It all began in a village forgotten by the gods and defense engineers, where the ground shook not from earthquakes or epic battles, but from the sound of hungry bellies and miscalculated explosions. There, among cracked walls and cannons pointed at nothing, lived a certain barbarian, with more muscles than brain cells, and more hunger than patience.
Grrr. Why is there no meat here? There's only elixir and bush.
Have you ever thought about, I don't know, hunting something? Or learning to grow crops?
I'm a barbarian, not a chef. My talent is to destroy, not to sauté.
It was at that exact moment, between one complaint and another, that an arrow whizzed past the barbarian's ear, leaving in the air that shrill sound that blends danger and carelessness. The shooter, an archer with a bored expression and, let's say, artistic aim. She swore she was practicing. He swore it was an assassination attempt.
I messed up again. Damn. But if it had been on purpose, you're already gone.
I think I like you.
And so it was, amid misdirected arrows and heartfelt grunts, that a partnership as unlikely as it was explosive was born. The union of a sharp mind and a sharp axe, and perhaps, for the first time in the village's history, something that almost resembled strategy. The Giant and the Mad Builder. While the village burned, literally, since no one there knew how to properly use a bomb launcher, on the other side of the forest something peculiar was happening. There he was, huge, serene, with steps that made the trees tremble slightly. A giant. But he wasn't looking for battles or cake. That day, his attention was focused on something more solid. A wall. Yes, a simple, sturdy stone wall. And for some reason that defied all logic or engineering, the giant thought it might be his new best friend.
Hey, little buddy, you're tough. I like you.
Unfortunately, the wall already had an owner, and the owner, well, was a bit nervous, a bit of a genius, and completely insane with hammers. The master builder, a defender of architecture and a mortal enemy of improvised embraces in defense structures, didn't like the scene one bit.
By the king of walls, take those little hands away. Walls are not for hugging.
The builder ran as if his tower were about to fall, which technically it had already done twice that week.
Want to sleep? Go to the war chamber, big guy. There are beds of thorns, pillows of nails, and the smell of old sweat.
Thorns tickle.
It was in this poetic chaos that something unexpected happened. The builder, his mind racing from so many hammer blows, saw in the giant not just a problem, but potential. And the giant, with his unassuming calm and brute strength, saw in the builder a brilliant mind that knew how to make things that lasted longer than a sandwich in his hands. There, amid rocks, nails, and denied hugs, a unique partnership was born. Together, they realized they could build fortresses, destroy walls, and incredibly, even forge a friendship. The kind that withstands earthquakes, balloon attacks, and bad jokes. The Wizard, the Pig Rider, and the Flaming Confusion. On the misty summit of a mountain forgotten by maps and despised even by dragons, a wizard trained in absolute silence. Between ancient spells and controlled explosions as much as possible, he muttered incantations while stirring a bubbling cauldron that glowed in shades of blue, green, and sometimes radioactive purple. All was going relatively well until an unearthly scream rent the heavens like thunder on short legs.
Hog Rider!
The wizard looked up and, for a brief second, thought he'd conjured something he shouldn't have, because before his eyes, a muscular, sweaty, and visibly out-of-control knight was flying atop a pig at terminal velocity, screaming as if it were perfectly normal.
What? A flying boar? That wasn't in the scrolls, not even in their footnotes.
The pig, possessed by an energy that not even the black elixir itself could explain, tore through the wizard's camp like a maddened meteor. Cauldrons flew, potions exploded. One apprentice lost his beard, another lost his dignity, and the wizard lost his patience.
Riding a pig is an ancient art, but sometimes he decides to freestyle.
You just turned my tower into a barbecue pit. My scrolls turned into sausage wrapping paper.
Magical bacon. Exotic with notes of dragon and will-o'-the-wisp essence.
And so, amidst flames, screams, and the scent of mystical flesh, another unlikely connection was born. A methodical and temperamental mage, and a knight of chaos, riding a pig that defied the laws of physics. Together, they would not only change the course of the war, but also the menu in the village's dining hall. The heroes present themselves. After much running around, poorly planned explosions, and alliances forged in the heat of the chaos, the warriors finally assembled. They were all there. The hungry barbarian, the sarcastic archer, the needy giant, the stressed-out builder, the scorched wizard, and the Hog Rider, still shooting sparks from his helmet. But just when it seemed the chaos had reached its limit, the sky darkened. A shadow loomed on the horizon, as if the universe itself paused to observe what would come next. And then they arrived. With the authority of those who had seen 100 battles and survived 1,000 patch bugs, the legendary heroes emerged, floating, marching, staring, and judging every step of that ragtag team.
I am the Barbarian King, and you are the loudest mess I've ever seen in all the clans that went bankrupt in less than 3 days.
And yet, there's something there. A certain destructive charm. A sort of end it all first, think later vibe.
I'm only here because they promised free elixir and a quiet place to levitate.
If it's to cause trouble, call me. If it's to think, leave me out. Strategy makes me sleepy. Noise makes me happy.
And so, amidst punchlines, high-level sarcasm, and egos the size of a clock tower, the heroes accepted the mission. They saw in this misfit group not only chaos, but potential. A spark of greatness that only ignites in times of war, or at poorly planned barbecues with giant bombs. And it was in that moment, at this intersection of brute force, unpredictable magic, and good humor that defies all tactical logic, that a clan destined for legend was born. Together, they faced insane goblins, conquered fortified villages, destroyed walls with friendship, and argued fiercely over something far more important than trophies. Who would eat the village's last loaf of bread? The Flaming Pig Clan. They say that somewhere in the distant fields of Clasheria, amidst intense battles, self-rebuilding walls, and magic spiraling out of control, that clan still lives. Not in history books, not in rankings of the most organized, but in the heart of legends, and on improvised grills in the middle of the battlefield. Between one disastrous attack and another more or less successful, they train, they argue, they test strategies that defy logic and physics. And, of course, they barbecue, using a fire spell as a starter.
My axe is sharp, and so is my stomach.
My arrow, too. And my mood, well, this one is worse than an unstrategic attack.
Has anyone seen my pig? He disappeared right after he smelled bacon.
He's roasting a wool again, and now with rosemary.
They're not the strongest, nor the fastest, but they are, without a doubt, the most unpredictable and memorable. What about you? Are you ready to start your own clan? Because every legend begins exactly like this, with mismatched characters, nonsensical ideas, and an absurd desire to wreak havoc with style. That's the magic of clans. That's the essence of Clasheria. And that was the origin of the incomparable Flaming Pig Clan.